doctors with a migraine headache for 6 or 7 hours with other screaming children, when we have thousands of doctors that could be helping reduce those wait times for all of us, but are banned from doing so because despite their qualifications, they cannot get a license. Government bureaucracy and gatekeeping prevents people in our country who are trained as nurses, doctors, and other professionals from working just because they were trained either in other countries or in other provinces. Today, we have 19,000 Canadian doctors and 34,000 Canadian nurses banned from working in our hospitals simply because they were trained in another country, including advanced countries. In Canada today, we have a doctor shortage of about 40,000. In other words, if we had all the doctors that are here today in Canada but trained abroad working in our healthcare system, we could reduce our doctor shortage by half. Meanwhile, 6 million Canadians are without a doctor. We're ranked 26th in the OECD for doctors per 1,000 patients, despite the fact that we spend among the highest budgets on our healthcare system. It doesn't make sense. Government gatekeepers stand in the way, put in place massive delays and bureaucratic hurdles for highly qualified immigrants and Canadians trained abroad to actually get licensed to practice. I met a young lady the other day who couldn't get into med school in Canada, so she went to Ireland. After she graduated from the Irish medical school, she had to go to California because they wouldn't take an Irish grad as a resident in Canada. And after she does her residency in California, she still will be banned from working in Canada. So she's going back to Ireland. There we go, losing a brilliant young Canadian to a foreign healthcare system when we have 6 million Canadians without a doctor. It doesn't make sense. It's time to bring home common sense to our healthcare system by removing the gatekeepers. So today, I am announcing that a Poilievre government will work with the provinces to create a national merit-based testing standard to license doctors and nurses within 60 days of applying. It'll work like this. There'll be one standardized testing system. Within 60 days of an immigrant or a foreign-trained Canadian applying to work in their profession, they will be able to do the exam and get a yes or no based on their competency, not based on where they come from. This will mean we judge our medical graduates based on their merits and abilities, not based on some bureaucratic system or based on where they come from. It will also mean a national license so that an Alberta doctor can practice in Nova Scotia if he should fall in love with a lady there and get married and move across the country. It will also mean that the standards will be the same for people born here as those who come from abroad. And it will speed up the licensing of our medical doctors and nurses in this country. It's common sense. If you can do the job, you should get the job. If you are a doctor, you shouldn't be driving a taxi. You should have the chance to care for kids who are in great need at places just like here at CHEO. This idea is of a blue seal standard for all the professions is basically a copy of what we already have in the regulated trades. 70 years ago, the provinces and the federal government came together and created the Red Seal program, where provinces agreed to a single testing standard for electricians, carpenters, and other regulated professions, trades. It has worked. Now a young electrician can get his ticket and work anywhere in Canada. We should do the same thing for our professions. A Poilievre government will work with the provinces who will voluntarily have the option to join the Blue Seal standard so that we get more doctors, more nurses, less gatekeepers. It's time to bring home the best healthcare in the world to Canada. It's time to bring home our doctors and nurses. Let's bring it home for Canada. Thank you, and I now turn it over to Dr. Ellis to offer more commentary as my shadow Minister of Healthcare, who's going to work on delivering this Blue Seal standard for more doctors and nurses. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Leader, and thank you everyone for coming today on this cold and windy afternoon. I really appreciate you all being here in this matter of critical national importance. We all know very clearly that there are 6 million Canadians without a primary health care practitioner. In my home province of Nova Scotia, there's 137,000 Nova Scotians without access to primary care. We also know very clearly that the wait time for specialist care is the longest it's been in 40 years at almost 6 months. This is an untenable position, and as I said previously, it's critical and of national importance. If we do not begin to change things now, it's going to continue to get worse. And we know that Canadians are dying in emergency rooms. This is something that cannot continue to happen in a great country like Canada, and we know very clearly that we need to change it. This Blue Seal program will make it very simple for people who want to come to this country as trained professionals to be able to know what their qualifications mean in this country and enable them to get a job so that their home country is not losing a doctor, that Canada is not gaining a doctor, and then we have a very unhappy immigrant. The Blue Seal program will solve these problems, and it will mean the restoration of this incredible healthcare system that I am very proud to have been a part of for the majority of my adult life. So once again, thank you all for coming, and we're happy to take questions.
Excellent. Okay, we'll take questions from media on the floor. One question, one follow-up.
Good afternoon. President Joe Biden is going to make his first official visit to Canada later this week.
Yeah.
What sort of issues would you like Canada to be pushing for during this visit?
Well, we have to bring home results for a change. After 8 years of Trudeau, our Canadians are getting ripped off by the United States. We still have American softwood lumber tariffs on our forestry products. We still have Buy America, which discriminates against our construction workers in Canada. And Justin Trudeau says that he can't control our borders at Roxham Road without the help of Joe Biden. Now, those things should have been solved a long time ago. When the Conservatives were in office, we managed to secure a softwood lumber agreement in less than 3 months. We managed to get an exemption to Buy America. And we managed to secure our borders with no mass illegal migration across Roxham Road or anywhere else. So Justin Trudeau needs to do what Conservatives were able to do in just a few months when we were in power. And that is to say, we need an end to the softwood lumber tariffs and a full reimbursement of all the illegally collected tariffs. We need a full exemption for all Canadian products from the Buy America policies. And we need to close Roxham Road to bring back lawful immigration to Canada. All three of these things happened when Conservatives were in power. Justin Trudeau's been Prime Minister for 8 years and he hasn't been able to do it. Let's be honest. Leaders like Biden and President Xi see Justin Trudeau as a joke. They believe they can walk all over him. They can hit us with tariffs and discriminatory Buy America policies, and Trudeau won't do anything about it. Enough is enough. It's time for someone to stand up for Canada, to bring home our jobs, bring home our industries, and to bring home lawful immigration to Canada.
En français, s'il vous plaît aussi.
Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, les Canadiens sont des grands perdants en termes de relations avec les États-Unis. Des tarifications sur notre bois d'œuvre continue. 8 ans après Justin Trudeau a pris le pouvoir, même si Stephen Harper avait réussi à signer une entente pour éliminer ces mêmes tarifications en 3 mois comme Premier ministre. La politique Buy America punit nos entreprises et travailleurs de construction, même si les conservateurs de Stephen Harper avaient réussi à donner une exemption aux Canadiens à ces politiques de Buy America. Et après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, nous avons de l'immigration illégale qui traverse au chemin de Roxham, même si ces mêmes problèmes n'existaient pas pendant les années conservatrices. Donc, nous attendons à ce qu'il y ait une fin au Buy America, aux pénalités sur le bois d'œuvre, et finalement qu'on ferme le passage au chemin de Roxham. On a déjà accompli ces choses-là quand les conservateurs ont été en pouvoir. On devrait pouvoir le faire d'ici vendredi.
In English and French as well. In your announcement today, you said it would be up to the provinces as to whether or not they wanted to join in on this.
Yes.
We are seeing provinces like in the Atlantic
Yes.
region working together. Why do you think it is that the federal government needs to weigh in on what is a provincial jurisdiction?
Just like 70 years ago, the federal government led all the provinces to come to Ottawa and agree on common testing standards for the regulated trades. Now the federal government needs to show leadership by bringing the provinces together to create a common testing standard in the professions like doctors and nursing. And just like the red seal for trades, our blue seal for professions will be strictly voluntary, and the provinces will have an incentive to join. Why is it that the provinces and territories have all agreed to a common testing standard in the trades? Because they want more tradesmen and tradeswomen. And the best way to do it is to allow people to move across provinces and take their skills with them. And in the professions, every province wants more doctors. This would be a low-cost way to get those doctors licensed quickly in their provinces, but it takes federal leadership to bring provinces together in consensus to create a national testing standard that all of them can agree to so that we can turn those 19,000 doctors that were trained abroad into doctors that serve here at home. Let's bring home our doctors, bring home our nurses, and bring home the best health care on earth.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre. Mackenzie Gray with Global. We've reported at Global as well at the Globe and Mail on Chinese election interference that the Chinese consulate in Toronto targeted both Liberal and Conservative candidates. Have you went to CSIS to ask them to give you information about what the Chinese consulate allegedly targeted Conservative candidates about?
Well, we first of all, we all know, it's public knowledge that the government in Beijing targeted Conservatives to defeat them in multiple elections because of the strong Conservative stance in favor of human rights and freedom. We invite CSIS, I invite CSIS to let me know if there is anyone who's interfered within the Conservative Party. And if I see evidence that that is the case, provided to me by CSIS, I'll be taking strong action to make sure that that doesn't happen, and that anybody who willingly did so, willingly worked with a foreign dictatorship, would obviously have to be removed from our party. And I would call on Justin Trudeau to do the same. If he has knowledge and evidence that anyone in his party willingly and knowingly worked with a foreign dictatorship to undermine our democracy, then he should announce that he's removing them from his party.
It's my understanding in your Opposition Day motion that you're going to ask Katie Telford to go to the Ethics Committee and not the Procedure and House Affairs Committee. Can you explain why you chose that committee instead of PRO?
Well, this is clearly an ethical issue. And Justin Trudeau is known for at least 6 years that the dictatorship in Beijing has been interfering in our elections to help him stay in power. He has briefing notes that show that Beijing made clandestine transfers of funds to political parties. That's against the law. We need an ethical study on what exactly Trudeau did when he learned of this illegal interference by a foreign dictatorship to help him keep power. And the Ethics Committee is the most independent and best place to do that. We call on the Prime Minister to stop the cover-up. If he's got nothing to hide, why doesn't he allow his Chief of Staff to come and tell the truth? Anything else?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
All done? You guys want to just hang out here for a while? All right. Have fun, everyone.